I'm Danielle Allen, 35 years old, and until last month, I was my family's personal bank. The sting from them skipping my birthday, no calls, no texts, no one showed, was still fresh when my dad's message landed. You need to buy your older sister a new house, set up her office, and cover her expenses until her new job stabilizes. It's what family does. As if I hadn't already poured thousands into their lives. Let me set the stage. I grew up in a small town in Nebraska, where my parents ran a bakery that barely survived. I was the dependable one, always fixing their financial messes. Scholarships got me through college, and now I'm an interior designer in Omaha, with a solid income and a condo I earned myself. But my family, every call was a plea. $5,000 for hospital bills, $10,000 for my older sister's career switch, another $15,000 to keep the bakery afloat. I never said no. You've got the means, Danielle, my mom would say. This is how we stick together. My best friend saw it first. They only call when they're broke. I brushed it off, thinking family duty meant saying yes until my birthday changed everything. I'd planned a quiet dinner in Omaha, sent invites a month early. Can't wait to see everyone. I texted the family group. Silence. On the day my phone stayed dead, no apologies, no excuses. That night, scrolling social media, I saw my older sister's post, a cozy family dinner at home, all smiles, captioned, "Nothing beats time with loved ones." My heart sank. They were together without me on my birthday. When I called my mom, her tone was casual. "We thought you'd be tied up with work. Your older sister said you weren't into family stuff anymore." I never said that. The betrayal burned, but the real blow was that text demanding I buy my older sister a house, like I was their cash machine, not a daughter or sister. If your family's ever treated you like a paycheck instead of a person, share your story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from and hit subscribe for more raw truths about breaking free from toxic ties. Growing up in Lincoln, Nebraska, my parents, Gregory Allen and Frances Allen, ran a small bakery that was more a labor of love than a thriving business. Money was always tight, and I learned early to step up. I was the youngest, the one who kept things together when bills piled up or equipment broke. My older sister, Kendall Allen, 3 years my senior, was the opposite, charming, impulsive, always chasing dreams that never quite landed. Mom and Dad doted on her, excusing every misstep. "Kendall's just finding her way," Mom would say, when I pointed out her reckless spending. "You're so responsible, Danielle. You don't need us like she does." Responsibility became my role, but it came at a cost. My needs always took a backseat. I worked hard, aced school, and won a scholarship to study interior design. After college, I landed a job at a top firm in Omaha, climbing to a senior designer position with a comfortable salary. My condo, my car, my life, I built it all myself. But back in Lincoln, the family leaned on me harder as my income grew. It started small, a few $100s for a bakery oven repair, $1,000 to cover Dad's dental work. Then it escalated. $5,000 to clear their credit card debt after Kendall's shopping sprees. $8,000 when Kendall needed a new wardrobe to start a modeling career that fizzled in months. $12,000 for a loan to keep the bakery from foreclosure. Each time they swore it was a one-off. "We'll pay you back," Dad promised. I believed them, or wanted to. Family was supposed to come first, right? Monica Pierce. My best friend met me 2 years ago at a design expo where we bonded over bad coffee and shared passions. She saw the pattern before I did. After a call from Mom asking for $3,000 to fund Kendall's latest venture, a pop-up boutique that barely opened, Monica put it bluntly, "Danielle, they're using you. When was the last time they asked about your life, not your wallet?" I defended them at first. "It's just a rough patch," I said, echoing Mom's excuses. But Monica pushed back, her voice gentle but firm. "It's been a rough patch for years. You deserve better." Deep down, I knew she was right. but admitting it meant facing a truth I wasn't ready for. My family saw me as a resource, not a daughter or sister. The requests kept coming. When Kendall crashed her car after a night out, I paid $10,000 for a replacement, even though I was still budgeting for my own mortgage. When the bakery's roof leaked, I wired $7,000, no questions asked. "You're so blessed with your career," Mom would say, her voice warm but calculated. "This is how you help family." I normalized it, convincing myself it was my duty. But each check I wrote chipped away at something: my savings, my peace, my sense of self. Monica's words lingered, but I pushed them aside, clinging to the idea that family meant sacrifice. I'd send money, visit Lincoln for holidays, call weekly, trying to stay connected. They'd thank me, sure, but the gratitude always felt transactional, fading the moment the next crisis hit. Looking back, the signs were there. Kendall's endless career switches, model boutique owner, now some vague consulting gig, always came with a price tag I was expected to cover. Dad's promises to repay loans never materialized. He'd dodge my questions with complaints about the bakery's slow months. Mom would guilt-trip me, saying Kendall needed more support because she was sensitive while I was strong enough to handle things. Strong meant invisible. I kept giving, hoping one day they'd see me, not just my bank account. Monica tried to get through to me, pointing out how one-sided it was. "When do they ever show up for you?" she asked after I spent a weekend in Lincoln, only to have Kendall bail on a planned dinner to meet friends. I had no answer. The dynamic wore me down, but I couldn't break free, not yet. I'd built my life on being the fixer, the one who kept the family afloat. Every wire transfer felt like proof I belonged, even if it left me hollow. Monica's patience never wavered, but her warnings grew sharper. "You're enabling them," she said one night over dinner after I'd sent $2,000 for Dad's emergency tax bill. "They'll keep taking until you say no." I nodded, but saying no felt like betraying everything I'd been taught about family. That is, until my birthday exposed their true colors, and that message about buying Kendall a house pushed me to the edge. I wasn't just their bank, I was their fallback plan, and they assumed I'd always say yes. My 35th birthday was supposed to be special. I'd planned a small dinner at a cozy restaurant in Omaha, a place I loved for its warm vibe and great food. Weeks earlier, I sent a group text to my family, Mom, Dad, and Kendall, brimming with excitement. "Dinner at 6 p.m. on my birthday. Can't wait to celebrate together." I even picked out gifts: a custom recipe book for Mom, who loved baking, a new tool set for Dad's woodworking hobby, and for Kendall, a sleek leather jacket she'd been eyeing online. Monica offered to join, her presence a comforting anchor. "It'll be great," she said, squeezing my hand. I nodded, picturing us all laughing around the table, a rare moment of connection. But as the day approached, the family group chat stayed silent. No confirmations, no questions about what to bring. I brushed it off. They were probably busy with the bakery. The day arrived and I got to the restaurant early, setting up a table for 5. I wore my favorite dress, checked my phone obsessively. No messages. 6 o'clock came and went. Then 7. The waiter's pitying glances burned as I ordered a drink to stall. By 8, the truth sank in: they weren't coming. No call, no text, not even a flimsy excuse. I paid for my untouched drink and left, the weight of rejection crushing me. Monica met me at my condo, her face falling as I recounted the empty table. "This isn't right, Danielle," she said, her voice tight with anger. "They didn't even bother to tell you." I tried to shrug it off, saying they might have had an emergency, but her eyes held mine. "You don't deserve this." That night, unable to sleep, I opened Facebook. My stomach dropped. Kendall had posted a photo, Mom, Dad, and her grinning around a dining table in Lincoln, plates piled with food, candles glowing. The caption read, "Best family night ever, so grateful for these moments." My birthday, and they were having a party without me. The comments piled up: neighbors, cousins, even my old high school friend Lisa, who wrote, "Looks like a blast, wish I could have made it." I stared, hands shaking. They'd invited others, planned a whole evening, and left me out. I called Mom, my voice steady despite the hurt. "Why didn't you come to my birthday?" Her pause was long, her tone airy. "Oh, honey, we figured you were swamped with work. Your older sister mentioned you said small-town gatherings weren't your thing anymore." I was floored. "I never said that," I replied, my throat tight. "I planned everything for you guys." Mom's voice shifted, defensive. "Well, Kendall thought you'd prefer something fancy in Omaha. We didn't want to drag you down here." The lie stung worse than the silence. I pressed. "Who was at the house?" Another pause. "Just us, family and a few friends. Nothing big." Nothing big? The photo showed a full spread, decorations, a crowd. I ended the call, too stunned to argue. Monica, who'd stayed over, read the conversation in my face. "They're lying to you," she said, her voice low. This was deliberate. I wanted to deny it, to believe it was a misunderstanding, but the evidence was glaring. The next morning, Lisa, my high school friend still living in Lincoln, texted, "Hey, saw your family's big dinner last night. They asked me to bring my famous cheesecake. You weren't there." My heart sank further. Not only had they excluded me, but they'd invited half the town. I showed Monica the text and her jaw clenched. "This is beyond messed up, Danielle. They're treating you like you don't matter." I nodded, the hurt mixing with a growing anger. I'd spent years footing their bills, and this was how they repaid me, by cutting me out of my own birthday while throwing a party for everyone else. Desperate for answers, I called Kendall. She answered on the fifth ring, her voice dripping with irritation. "What's up, Danielle? I'm kind of busy." I didn't hold back. "Why didn't you come to my birthday? And why's there a photo of you all partying at home?" She sighed like I was the inconvenience. "Look, we thought you were too busy with your city life. Mom and Dad agreed it'd be better without you bringing your judgy attitude." Judgy? I'd never judged them, only supported them. "That's not true," I said, my voice shaking. "I invited you all, planned everything." She cut me off. "Whatever, you're always so dramatic. We just wanted a chill night." The call ended with her hanging up, no apology, no regret. Monica sat with me as I processed it, her hand on my shoulder. "They're gaslighting you," she said. "They planned this and lied to cover it up." I scrolled through more comments on Kendall's post, neighbors praising the food, friends gushing about the vibe. It wasn't just a family dinner. It was a full-on event, and I was the only one left out. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected, a raw ache that wouldn't fade. I'd given them everything: money, time, loyalty, and they couldn't even show up for my birthday. Monica's words echoed, "You deserve better." For the first time, I started to believe her, but the real shock was still coming. The demand for the house would push me past my breaking point. 2 days after my birthday, I was still reeling from the sting of being left out, my family's lies echoing in my head. Monica stayed close, trying to pull me out of the fog with coffee runs and late-night talks, but the hurt lingered like a bruise. That morning, my phone buzzed with an email from Dad, the subject line cold and blunt, "Urgent family matter." My stomach tightened. I expected an apology, maybe an explanation for skipping my birthday. Instead, I read words that hit like a slap. "Danielle, your older sister needs a new house to start her consulting business. You're to cover the $30,000 down payment, set up her home office, and pay her expenses until she's settled in her new job. This is urgent. Transfer the money by the end of the month." Attached was a real estate listing for a sleek, modern house in Lincoln, way fancier than my own condo. No greeting, no please, just a demand, as if I were their personal ATM. I showed the email to Monica, who was sipping coffee at my kitchen counter. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "Are you kidding me?" she said, her voice sharp. "They ditched your birthday lie about it, and now they're asking for $30,000 like it's nothing." I stared at the screen, shock giving way to a slow-burning anger. I'd paid for Kendall's car, her failed boutique, their bakery repairs, years of saying yes. And now, this house. Monica leaned forward, her tone urgent. You're not actually considering this, are you? I didn't answer right away. Part of me, conditioned by years of giving in, wondered if Kendall really needed this to get her life together. But the bigger part, the one fueled by their betrayal, screamed no. I needed clarity, so I called Dad. He picked up on the first ring, his voice brisk. Danielle, did you see my email? No hello, no apology for my birthday. Yeah, Dad, I said, keeping my tone even. Why does Kendall need a house, and why am I paying for it? He sighed like my questions were a hassle. She's starting her new consulting gig and she needs a proper space to meet clients. The bakery's tight and she can't afford it herself. You're doing well, Danielle. This is what family does. I pressed. What about her last job? Why didn't she save for this? His tone turned sharp. That's not the point. She needs this now and you can help. Don't make this about your birthday. I hung up my hands, trembling. He hadn't even acknowledged the exclusion. Monica watched me, her expression a mix of anger and concern. They're shameless, she said. Curious about Kendall's consulting gig, I called an old friend, Tara, who worked at a business networking group in Lincoln. After some catching up, I asked if she knew anything about Kendall's new venture. Tara hesitated, then spilled. Yeah, it's not really a business. She's been pitching some vague coaching idea, but there's no office, no clients. I heard she's been talking about moving into a big house to look the part. Oh, and she was at your parents' dinner bragging about how you'd pay for it. My jaw dropped. Bragging. Tara sighed. She said you always come through, that you've got money to spare since you're single with no kids. The betrayal cut deeper, but I needed more. I called Mrs. Harper, our longtime neighbor in Lincoln, who'd always been like an aunt to me. Danielle, sweetheart, she answered warmly. I was so sad you weren't at the family dinner. I swallowed hard. I wasn't invited, Mrs. Harper, and now they're asking me for $30,000 for Kendall's house. A long pause followed. Oh, honey, she said, her voice heavy. I overheard things at that dinner. Kendall was telling everyone you're too caught up in your fancy Omaha life to care about family. She said you'd probably ruin the mood with your high standards. Your mom agreed, said you make Kendall feel bad about her choices. I felt sick. Did anyone defend me? I asked. Mrs. Harper sighed. Your dad just nodded along. Later in the kitchen, I heard them talking about the house. Your mom said, Danielle will pay, she always does. She's got no one else to spend it on. My world tilted. They'd planned this demand before my birthday, assuming I'd cave like always. They'd trashed me to neighbors, painting me as some cold, judgmental city girl, while plotting to squeeze me for more money. Monica, who'd been listening, grabbed my hand. This is disgusting, she said, her voice fierce. They're not your family, they're leeches. I nodded, the anger now a fire in my chest. But there was more. Mrs. Harper hesitated, then added, I probably shouldn't say this, but your parents mentioned updating their will. They said Kendall needs their house more since you're set for life. The house, the one I'd paid off years ago with a $20,000 loan to save it from foreclosure, was in my name, a detail they conveniently forgot. I sat in silence, the pieces falling into place. They'd excluded me from my birthday, lied to cover it, bad-mouthed me to others, and planned this $30,000 demand, all while assuming I'd keep footing their bills. The house, legally mine, was their home, but they acted like it was theirs to leverage. Monica's words from weeks ago echoed. They only call when they're broke. Now it was undeniable. They didn't see me as family, just a checkbook to fund Kendall's fantasies and their own survival. The email, the lies, the will, it was all part of their game. But I wasn't playing anymore. That demand for the house was the final straw, and it was about to light a match under everything they thought they could control. The revelations from Mrs. Harper and Tara burned in my mind, my family's lies, their plan to milk me for $30,000, their assumption I'd always cave. The house legally mine from that $20,000 loan years ago was a detail they'd buried thinking I'd never notice. I sat on my couch staring at Dad's email, the words urgent and family matter, mocking me. Monica paced nearby, her voice steady but fierce. Danielle, this stops now. You're not their bank anymore. She was right. Years of conditioning screamed to send the money to keep the peace, but the betrayal my birthday, the lies the will had snapped something inside me. I wasn't just done. I was ready to fight back. Monica suggested I talk to someone outside my family, someone who'd understand. I booked an emergency session with a therapist, Dr. Susan Klein, who specialized in family dynamics. Over a video call, I poured out everything: the birthday snub, the email, the gossip at their dinner. Dr. Klein listened, then said, "What you're describing is financial abuse. They've conditioned you to feel responsible for their choices, but love doesn't come with a price tag." Her words hit hard, echoing Monica's warnings. She urged me to set boundaries, starting with a clear, firm no. "It'll be tough," she said, "but it's the only way to reclaim your worth." I left the session with a clarity I'd never felt before, a resolve to stop enabling their entitlement. Back home, Monica helped me draft an email to Dad, Mom, and Kendall. I spent hours refining it, wanting it to be direct, but not cruel. "Dear Dad, Mom, and Kendall," I wrote, "I've thought carefully about your request for $30,000 for Kendall's house and expenses. I'm not paying it. Kendall's consulting business lacks any real foundation, and I won't fund her reckless choices anymore. For years, I've supported this family, hospital bills, bakery loans, Kendall's failed ventures, while you've excluded me, lied about me, and planned to exploit my generosity. I recently learned you spoke poorly of me at your dinner, claiming I'm too judgmental to be included, and you've altered your will, assuming I'll always provide. This pattern is toxic. Moving forward, I will no longer offer any financial support. No loans, no gifts beyond small tokens, no emergency funds. I hope we can build a relationship based on respect, not money, but that requires change from you. I wish you well in handling Kendall's situation and your finances without relying on me." I signed it simply, Danielle. Before sending, I opened my banking app. In a moment of defiance, I set up 3 transfers, $5 each, to Dad, Mom, and Kendall with the memo, "This reflects the value you've placed on me." It was petty maybe, but after years of pouring thousands into their lives, I felt entitled to a small rebellion. Monica grinned as I hit send on the email and transfers. "That's my girl," she said, pulling me into a hug. "How do you feel?" I exhaled, my heart racing, scared but free. The fallout came fast. Within an hour, my phone lit up with notifications. Kendall texted first, her words dripping with venom. "How dare you? After all we've done for you, you're too selfish to help me start my business." I nearly laughed at the hypocrisy. She'd never done anything for me. Mom's voicemail was next, her voice shaking with anger. "Danielle, this is unacceptable. Turning your back on family like this. We raised you better." Dad's email was cold. "You'll regret this. Family is forever, and you're throwing it away over money." I stared at the messages, expecting guilt to flood me, but it didn't. Dr. Klein's words echoed. My worth wasn't tied to their demands. Kendall escalated, posting a vague but pointed status on Facebook. "Some people show their true colors when you need them most. Family should lift you up, not tear you down." Comments poured in, neighbors, cousins, even an aunt I hadn't spoken to in years, all chiming in with sympathy for her. She'd painted herself the victim, me the villain, without naming me directly. Monica scrolled through it, shaking her head. "She's trying to guilt you publicly," she said. "Don't take the bait." I didn't, but the manipulation stung. I called Tara again, needing to know if Kendall was still pushing her fake business story. "She's been telling everyone you're jealous of her dreams," Tara said. "She's saying you refuse to help because you're bitter about her success." Success? Kendall had no clients, No plan, just a fantasy I was supposed to fund. The pressure didn't stop. Mom called the next day, her tone softer but calculated. Danielle Kendall might lose her shot at this business without that house. We're struggling at the bakery too. Can't you help just this once? It was the same old script, guilt wrapped in fake desperation. I stayed firm. Mom, I've given enough. Kendall can rent an office or get a loan like anyone else. She hung up, no response. Dad texted later. The bakery's in trouble. If you don't help, we might lose everything. I didn't reply. Monica, who'd been by my side through every call, nodded approvingly. You're doing the right thing, she said. They're panicking because they're losing control. I started seeing the pattern clearly. Every demand, every guilt trip was a tactic to keep me in line. Dr. Klein had warned me about this. They'll push harder when you set boundaries. She was right. Kendall sent another text accusing me of abandoning her, claiming she'd have to give up her dreams because of me. I didn't respond. Instead, I dug into my financial records, confirming the house in Lincoln where they all lived was still in my name from that $20,000 loan. They'd never paid me back, never even acknowledged it. That house, their home, was legally mine, and they'd built their lives around it, assuming I'd never pull the plug. But the email, the lies, the birthday snub, it all pointed to one truth: they didn't value me, only what I could give. I wasn't ready to act on the house yet, but the thought planted a seed. They'd pushed me too far, and I was done being their safety net. The barrage of texts, voicemails, and social media posts from my family didn't stop after I sent that email and those $5 transfers. Kendall's accusations, Mom's guilt trips, Dad's threats. They were relentless, each message a desperate attempt to pull me back into their web. But I was done. Dr. Klein's words from our therapy session rang clear. Your worth isn't tied to their demands. Monica, ever my rock, kept me grounded, reminding me, they're mad because you're breaking their cycle. I knew what came next wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to take back control, starting with the house in Lincoln, the one I'd saved with a $20,000 loan, still legally mine. Their attacks grew uglier. Kendall sent a late-night text. You're destroying my future, Danielle. I'll never forgive you. Mom left a voicemail, her voice quivering for effect. How could you abandon us when we're struggling? You're not the daughter I raised. Dad's next email was a veiled threat. Don't think you can walk away without consequences. We'll figure this out with or without you. I didn't respond. Instead, I met with a lawyer, Karen Walsh, to review the house's title. She confirmed what I suspected: the property was in my name, a condition of the loan I'd paid to clear their foreclosure years ago. They'd never repaid me, never even offered. Karen laid out my options. I could sell the house, transfer it, or reclaim it entirely. You hold the cards, she said. What do you want? I didn't answer yet, but the seed from that conversation with Mrs. Harper about their entitlement to my house grew into a plan. Monica urged me to act. They've taken enough, she said over dinner, her eyes fierce. That house is yours. They don't get to live in it while treating you like garbage. I nodded, the resolve hardening. I spent the next day digging through old emails and bank statements, piecing together every dollar I'd given them, over $60,000 in loans and gifts, none repaid. The house was the biggest piece, a $20,000 lifeline they'd treated as theirs. I called Tara, my friend in Lincoln, to gauge the situation. They're still acting like nothing's wrong, she said. Kendall's telling people you'll come around, that you always do. That was the final push. They assumed I'd cave, just like always. Not this time. I hired a real estate agent to assess the Lincoln house. The market was hot, and the property, fully paid off by me, was worth a substantial amount. I instructed Karen to draft a notice of eviction, giving my family 30 days to vacate. It felt drastic, but their actions, the birthday snub, the $30,000 demand, the lies, left no room for compromise. I sent the notice via certified mail along with a letter. Dear Dad, Mom, and Kendall, the house at 1420 Maple Street is in my name, as I paid off the $20,000 loan in 2018. I'm reclaiming it. You have 30 days to find new accommodations. This is not negotiable. I signed it, Danielle Allen. Monica read it over, her voice steady. This is right. They made their choices. The reaction was explosive. Kendall called, screaming, "You're kicking us out." "You heartless bitch." I hung up my hand steady for the first time. Mom's voicemail was next, sobbing. "Danielle, how could you do this to us? We'll be homeless." Dad's text was blunt. "You're no daughter of mine." I expected the guilt to hit, but it didn't. Instead, I felt a strange calm. They'd built their lives on my money, my sacrifices, and now faced the consequences of their entitlement. Monica sat with me as I blocked their numbers, her hand on mine. "You're free now." I nodded, the weight lifting. Over the next weeks, their attempts to manipulate continued. Kendall posted on Facebook a tearful video about family betrayal, garnering sympathy from distant relatives. An uncle I barely knew texted, "You're tearing the family apart, Danielle." I replied to all with the same line, "I've made my decision. Respect it." Tara updated me. Mom and Dad scrambled to find a rental, dipping into savings they'd never touched while I was their bank. Kendall took a second job at a coffee shop, complaining loudly about starting over because of me. I didn't care. The house sold quickly, the proceeds going to my savings, a cushion for the life I was building without them. I leaned on Monica and Dr. Klein, who helped me navigate the emotional fallout. Therapy sessions shifted from crisis to growth, teaching me to value myself beyond what I could give. I joined a support group for people with exploitative families, meeting others who'd been used as ATMs. We shared stories over coffee, their experiences mirroring mine: guilt trips, lies, entitlement. One woman, Claire, told me, "Cutting them off was the hardest thing, but it saved me." Her words stuck. I started volunteering at a local youth center, teaching financial literacy to teens, turning my pain into purpose. I told them, saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect yourself. My life transformed. Monica and I planned a trip to the Pacific Coast, a celebration of my new freedom. Work thrived. I landed a promotion to creative director, my confidence soaring without the constant drain of family demands. I stopped flinching at my phone, no longer expecting pleas for money. The house sale closed and I invested the funds, securing my future. Mom, Dad, and Kendall faded from my life. Tara mentioned they'd moved to a small apartment, the bakery barely limping along. Kendall's consulting fizzled, no surprise. They tried reaching out once more, a group email begging for one last chance. I deleted it, no reply. Looking back, that birthday snub and the $30,000 demand were my breaking point. I'd spent years believing family meant sacrifice, that my worth was tied to my wallet. I was wrong. True family doesn't demand your resources while dismissing your value. Taking back that house, their home, my asset, wasn't just about money. It was about reclaiming my life. I learned that love isn't a transaction, and enabling toxic behavior only hurts everyone. To anyone feeling used by family, know this: setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Saying no can be the most loving act for yourself and others, forcing them to face their own choices. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to cut ties to protect your worth, share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Hit like, subscribe, and join me for more stories about finding freedom from toxic family ties.